Okay, I think we'll get started, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Kat Morse, and I am the content manager of the Small Scale Fisheries Resource and Collaboration Hub, or SSF Hub for short. This is our last webinar as part of the SSF Hub's campaign to support the International Year of Artisanal Fisheries and Aquaculture, or IYAFA 2022. IYAFA marked an important opportunity to recognize the importance of small-scale fisheries to sustainable development, food security, and nutrition. Today's webinar will focus on small-scale fisheries as part of the blue economy. During this webinar, we will hear from 3 speakers from small-scale fishing civil society organizations in Asia, 1 from Bangladesh, 1 from Sri Lanka, and 1 from Thailand. Each one of them will share about the economic contributions of small-scale fisheries and unique challenges that small-scale fisheries face in blue economy agendas. The goal of today's webinar is to better understand how small-scale fisheries fit into ocean development projects and blue economy agendas and find solutions that take a human right-based approach to human fisheries, to small-scale fisheries, excuse me. There will be time at the end of this webinar for members of the audience to ask questions. Please feel free to type them into the question and answer function of the webinar as we go. I would like to note that today's webinar is interpreted into English, Bengali, Tamil, and Thai. To listen to your preferred language, please click on the interpretation button at the bottom of your screen and select your preferred language. Please also select mute original audio. The translation may take a few seconds to start after selecting that option. This webinar will be recorded and will be uploaded to the SSF Hub's YouTube channel in the coming weeks. This event is hosted by the Small Scale Fisheries Resource and Collaboration Hub. The SSF Hub is an online space that provides open source tools to strengthen small scale fisheries governance and community development. The SSF Hub is for small scale fishers, fish workers, and community leaders to learn, share, and grow together. The purpose of the hub is to create one space where users can easily access tools and where they can also find stories, information, ideas, and participate in events and webinars like the ones we're holding today. You can get involved by visiting the website. There you can select your language in the upper right-hand corner, create a user profile, participate in learning exchanges, and share your story and resources that have supported your work. Please join this community at www.ssfhub.org and follow the website at the bottom of this. Today's event is co-hosted with the Coast Foundation in Bangladesh, the National Fisheries Solidarity Organization in Sri Lanka, and the Sustainable Development Foundation in Thailand. I would like to remind everyone that today's webinar is interpreted into Bengali, Tamil, and Thai. And to listen to your preferred language, please just click the interpretation button on the screen. Now it's my pleasure to introduce our first speaker for this webinar, Mujibul Haque Munir. He is the Joint Director of the Coast Foundation in Bangladesh. He has about 12 years experience of work in the development sector, especially in the field of program management, youth empowerment, development communication, campaign and policy advocacy, research programming, planning, monitoring, and writing reports, publications, and communications. He is now in charge of the humanitarian response projects at the Coast Trust. Mr. Munir is the co-chair of the Inland Fisheries Working Group of the World Forum of Fisher People. He's also on the steering committee of the Farmers Forum of the International Fund for Agriculture and a member of the steering committee of the UN International Year of Artisanal Fisheries and Aquaculture. Thank you for joining us today, Mr. Munir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Should I start? Am I audible to everyone?
Please go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are. Thank you very much for inviting me. I'll just speak a bit in very brief. I will give an overview of my presentation of today's event. Before going to talk anything about the fisheries sector of Bangladesh, I think it's very much important to give an overview of the fisheries resources of our country in Bangladesh. You know, fisheries is playing a very vital role in the whole economy of Bangladesh. It is contributing about 4% of total GDP and about 24% of the agricultural GDP in my country. And directly and indirectly, about 12% of the 170 million people are involved with this fisheries sector. There is a very famous saying in our country that in Bangla, in our local language, it says that mache bhate Bangali. It means Bangladeshi people are living on rice and fish. So these are the very two main food for Bangladeshi people, and it is 60% of it is a source of 60% of animal protein for our people. So fisheries sector is very much important. And you know that globally also Bangladesh fisheries sector is playing a very vital role, because Bangladesh is about fourth of inland fisheries fish production, and it is fourth or fifth in aquaculture, and it is third in Asia in terms of aquaculture production. So there is a huge paradigm shift in the fisheries sector in Bangladesh. Once upon a time, most of the fisheries production were used to come up from the capture fisheries. For example, if you go, not so far, if you go to 1980s, it was 15% of total fisheries capture used to come from the aquaculture, and the remaining part of used to come from the capture. But now it is 60% is coming from the aquaculture, and capture fisheries is in fact reducing its contribution, which is a huge change in the fishery resources management. And marine fisheries still is not that much significant, because it is now contributing about 15%, even though the contribution of in terms of export, this is also huge, because about 4 or 5% of the total export is coming from the fisheries sector, and mainly the shrimp and prawn fisheries are there. If you want to talk about the small scale fisheries sector, even though in Bangladesh the fisheries sector is playing huge in the whole economy, the life and livelihood, the socio-economic condition of the small scale fishery people are still beyond our desired limit. For example, if you go to the policies, there is a huge backlog that there is no specific definition about the small scale fisheries. Who are these small scale fisheries in our country? Who are the small scale fishers? There is no specific definition, and that is one big problem, because there are very big and very beautiful laws and policies in our country, which is very much in favor of the small scale fisheries. But problem is that since there is no clear identification, people disguising them as small scale fisher people, and they are getting the benefits from the government. That is one huge issue in our country. Otherwise, Bangladesh government in Bangladesh, for managing the fisheries sector, there is a ministry called Fisheries and Livelihood Ministry, and there is a huge department called Department of Fisheries. In every sub-district, there is a sub-district office for managing the fisheries sector. So but if you go to the small scale fisher people condition, we have some researches, we have some studies to know the socio-economic condition of the small scale fisher people in our country. Unfortunately, in terms of education, in terms of health, in terms of monthly average income, in terms of everything, they are below compared to the national average. And if you talk about the aquaculture in our country, as I mentioned, that especially as an additional income alternative income option, as we are working with the small scale fisher people, we don't believe in alternative income generation. We believe in additional income generation, because if you talk about alternative, then there is a vulnerability of losing their long lasting traditional income generating option, that is fisheries. So we believe in additional income generating option, and which is very good. Aquaculture can play a very vital role in terms of additional income for the fisher people, because nowadays a lot of people are engaged in and government has very good policies in our country. If you go to the fisheries policy, if you go to the fisheries laws acts, government is promoting aquaculture. But problem is that the small scale fisher folk involved in fish capture, they are suffering, they are struggling. And one of the major struggling of our people, fisher folk people, is the lack of access to fund or access to finance, because fisherfolk people, they don't have access to traditional fishing funding or traditional finance. That is why they need to be dependent on the local people who are getting high interest rate. And in coastal areas, I think many of you know that about different studies that in coastal areas, a sort of slavery, modern slavery are there, because there are so many lean periods. I think you know that about 180 days are fishing ban in our country. During the fishing ban, there is nothing to do, and the fisherfolk people they lost their income options. So they get in advance loan from the trawler owners or the rich man, and they sell their labor in advance, and they don't have any option. They must work with on their boat, and even fishermen, they don't determine the price of their catch or their capture. The boat owner who lend the money first, they decide about the price. If you go to the decent work approach or decent work environment, unfortunately, our fisherfolk people are very much deprived of the decent work approach, and the labor law does not cover them. And if you go to the blue economy, then it is a huge debate right now, because you know that in Bangladesh, if Bangladesh is going to be a country with middle income, and Bangladesh is going to do this, and there is a debate between development and human rights, development and democracy. Bangladesh need infrastructure. Bangladesh need development infrastructure, electricity. So there are huge development in the exchange of fisheries harvest places, in exchange of habitats, in exchange of, for example, our wetlands. That is creating a huge problem. In the name of blue economy, there are so many development activities, and unfortunately, small-scale fisherfolk people are not that much involved. I can stop there. If there is any time or I can get chance, I can come up with more information. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunities to talk about the small-scale fisherfolk people of our country. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Munir. We may follow up at the end with some additional questions for the whole group. Now it's my pleasure to introduce our second speaker for this webinar, Ms. Thazda Thavachsilvam. Thazda has been working for NAFSO, the National Fisheries Solidarity Organization of Bangladesh, for 5 years as an activist. Before joining NAFSO, she worked as a youth volunteer for the Youth Movement for Environmental and Social Change. Currently, she is following a high school national diploma in accounting and a third-year student at the Accounting Technical Institute in Jaffna. She is engaged in several field research workstations in the fisheries field, including Point Pedro Fishery Harbor Project, ocean grabbing in the context of blue economy. As a young activist, she is organizing and mobilizing 120 youth groups in Jaffna, Sri Lanka. Thazda, thank you for joining us. I have your slides ready, so please just let me know as you'd like me to go along. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Tata, representing NAFSO, District Fisheries Solidarity, which is one of the partner organizations of NAFSO. Thank you very much for giving this opportunity to present the exciting situation of construction, the harbor in Point Pedro in Jaffna. I would like to share how this development project is going to create adverse impact to the people in many aspects. So we have done 2 studies and we have gathered information regarding the situation. So I would like to just go my presentation. I will explain the situation as always to you. So you can see here, this is the 2 other slide. This is the we conducted the 2 surveys on Point Pedro regarding this harbor issue. This one of this the community lead research supported by ESR, that is we are calling CLR. The another one is awareness rising mobilization of community through the No Land No Life campaign is in Pana. Regarding to this survey, we got several different kind of data from the who is affected people by this development of the harbor issue. Next slide. So you can see this. This is the map of the project they are developing and the Point Petro. This is the, you can find the place, the certain place we are calling that is the Point Petro in this map. So you can see this is the project story. The Sri Lanka experienced 3 decades of war with the conflict, 3 decades of war. You know, more than 72 years, the people affected by the war. In that 72 years, the 30 years, the Tamil people were with, they affected with the weapons. So, you know, you can see here, the the people affected by the war, and now they are coming during the, they are coming with the how can I say, the beauty, the fair of way, they are coming to the development in the particular places. But this is also now in the people view, this is also one of the war for them. Like regarding the peace of agreement among the government of Sri Lanka and the Liberation Tigers of Tamil, we are calling like LTT. There are destruction and displacement, reconstruction and development in the peace process also in the situation they contacted. The creating of National Physical Plan 2015 Sri Lanka hopes attract foreign direct investment on projects pertaining to the plan for the focus on economic and social development. The government initiated the development infrastructure facilities in Northern Province. Regarding in Jaffna, Point Petro, the mega scale harbour is built by the government, but its development make adverse impact to the small scale fishery. You know, there are 3 villages mostly affected by the development. Those are Kottadi, Munai, Supparmadam. There are more than 3,000 small scale fisheries live in the village. So they are directly affected by this development, development in this project. Next slide. So this is the project description. We can say the purpose of development fishery harbour Point Petro is, they are saying it is this development is for the promoting investment for the fishery sector, the employment, like they are giving the employment who are without the livelihood, who are living without the works. They are saying like this, but people are saying this is not the development for us. However, how you are explaining these are the benefits we have, we are ignore this project because this is no helpful to us in any way. So you can see this letter. This is the approval from the district secretariat. He is saying there is no any impact for the people in bad way. So you can give the approval. You can give the funding for this development the project. But people totally ignore this project. So they are saying, and they are be strong. This is not help for them in anyhow. Next slide. So you can see these are the stakeholders who are connecting with this project. You can see according to this slide. So this is the Google view of the jetty before the construction. So you can see there are several resources we can see in this jetty, because the people can, the people mean the small scale fisheries can work very easily, and for the flexibility, they have the rights and they feel they have the freedom there. Then you can see that according to another slide, in this slide, you can see there is no resource for that, because they are unable to do their livelihood means their daily wages and their daily activity. The women unable to go to their places for their the fishing and selling those activities, because their rights have to grabbed by the government, and the development of the harbor is used also. So these are the different you can see from the earlier before the construction jetty, then after the construction of the development, you can see the difference between the both of the slides. So this is, you can see, this is the photo is showing the conducting the survey at Munai, because I already mentioned this Munai, Kottadi, Supparmadam, these are the three villages mostly affected by this development. So here, regarding the survey, the proposed harbour area in Point Petro, the Grama Niladhariya division, mainly an urban area, whose total population more than 1,000. The survey shows there are 13 vital household which be attacked. The people also saying there are lots of families living around the particular place. So if the cover is development at the place, the people should have to replace from where they're living. They have to replace to the another place also. So they still, the government staff or the particular persons did not contact them, and they contacted, but they did not give any particular solution for this kind of this issue. So you can see we got the survey from each one, from every family. The second one, you can see meeting with the Fisheries Union at the super, madam. We collecting all fisheries from every union. Then there we have make a discussion with them. So these are the environmental characters. You can see the project is to be processed, and the area that have been used as the fisheries jetty over century. You know, the jetty is the people using more than their century. So that place is familiar for them, even the children or the women. So everyone can go and do their activity, the flexibility. Then after, if they construct the development of the harbour, maybe the same thing happened to the Mileti. You know, earlier we have we have the development by the Mileti harbour also. Before the construction, the responsibility person said to that, they gave the permit. They explained that this is your land, this is your harbour. You can do anything. You can go whatever you can do, because this is your right. Then after that, they construct the harbour. But even the who is surrounding that land, the people also unable to go, and they can't be independently. If they want to go there for their any wanted things, they have to ask the permission from the Navy or someone who is be there. They have to get the permission there. So these kind of the things like definitely happen to after the Point Petro harbour also. So you can see people encourage the Point Petro to develop this way, but the politician need, that's a mega harbour. But because if here there is no space for the people's argument, there is no places for people request. Only the decision making by the politician who is taking the responsibility regarding the harbour development. This is the main problem to the people. Right, you can see this is the digital plan of harbour development, because earlier I said to you there is we have the jetty. They have more resource and they have the flexibility. They have the every resource for their freedom to work there. But you can see here, this is the digital plan of harbour. You can see the lands, most of the lands grabbed by the development. So we can say here, the people should replacement from their own land. This is also one of the barriers we can see regarding this development. So these are the dominant disadvantage. You can see the impact of territorial habits and flora, fauna, resources due to the construction activities. This is also the resource problem to them. Then this the drinking water resource can be polluted. You know that if they have the development, harbour development regarding their wages and the oils and regarding the fuels, this is the wastage. It's destroyed the drinking water. Then after the regarding the destroyed, regarding the pollution, the people have faced the health issues and different kind of issues. They are unable to doing the farming. They are unable to do the farming, and they are unable to take the water for drinking. This kind of the problem also the people will face. Then the important thing you can see, this is the schools and temples are near to the particular place. So there's one of the school, the Methodist Girls College. It's a national school. So if they conduct the development there, that schools students also mostly will affected. Those are the things also, most of the barriers to the barriers by this development. So this is the socio-economic impacts. We can see according to the slides, there's the lands of people are taken to the development project. I already mentioned the 3 villages are very close to the particular place. So the people also have to replace, because the land their lands have to take for the development. So here we can say, I mentioned earlier, lands of the school, temples are used for the development. I said the Methodist school is very close to the particular place. So the land also will be grabbed for this development. So these are the things we have to see as the impacts of the people. Then you can see there's although the Fisheries Society in Kottadi requests to build the harbour boundary up to Nadaraja stage. There's one of the particular place, Nadaraja stage. Only the government has planned to extend up to beach without the considering the demand of the people. This is the main problem here. They are not ready to ask the demand of the people, what they are saying, what's their view. These are the big barriers in this project also. So I earlier mentioned to you, you can see this. This is the boundary of the school. This is the before this photo is the earlier harbour. Then this is the, you can see this is the road. It's very close to the school. So mostly affected, these are the places. These are the important places related to the project, because these are the places affected by this harbour development project. So we can see according to the slide, the potential effect present by the community. The harbour development project will be displace the people, disposes the coastal resources, destroy the coastal ecosystem, and the diverse fish breeding ground. The government has given priority large-scale fishery industry development the harbour without having, because this is the reason they want to invest a lot of things. They will be invest a lot of money in the harbour. Then they don't need, and they will not give the priority to small-scale fisheries, because small-scale fisheries, they are doing their daily wage, they are working for their daily wages and for the livelihood. But the government is never considering on that issue. They are thinking only for the big kind of investment. They are thinking like that. So I mentioned that there is the preschool. So one of the school, it's a Methodist school. This is the boys' school calling via Hartley College. It's also near to the particular development places. So this is the way the people against the harbour development. I mentioned earlier, we have the 2 survey in that particular places. So this is the CLR survey. So people is saying, but people have the hesitating to give the data to us, because already the people do some kind of things. It's mean the protest, and they had hand over the petitions, like those kind of things they already done. But they are hesitating to say because of the threats of the government, the political leaders, because they will know who is the person taking this, who is the person take the responsibility to ignore the harbour. Then they will mind the. Then they are going to directly to them. Then they will threat the people. So the people already get hesitate to give the data, but however they gave some details who is ignore the project strongly. So there one of the statement here, you can see the people is saying they don't need mega harbour development. Only they are living the small scale fisheries, so they have boats, vallams, and cannons like that equipments only they have. Mostly 18, the people said that the 18 people are having multi-day boat on that particular village. Then they don't need the mega harbour. Only if they have lots of like the equipment, then they can think after that. So they are directly ignore this harbour. Through this statement, we can see that here our colleagues is conducting the survey, access people's views on projects. What are the people saying on views? You can see this according to the photos, the surveys. So do you know who is the implement of the project? Here you can get the more information regarding the data. We accordingly one by one we have added. Next slide. So consult the community before commencing a project. So these are the one of the community from the survey. We get the details from the survey. You can here the last one I will say to you. They will threaten us. with force and violence to scare us to move, respect the community to planning the project with the community. These are the statements from coming through our survey. You can see this is the final slide. I can say the people standing on issue. You know, the people have taken the leadership to coming forward, fight against the development. The projects in Kottadi, Munai, Supermadam. So I already mentioned to you, the 3 places are mostly affected. So the people are ready and they are coming move forward because they want to perfectly ignore that project. So the people actively engage with the study to collect the information. The Fisher Union and every women's also. The women also, they are ready and they are giving, they are saying to us, we are always ready to come move forward because they have totally ignored this project. This is the reason. Then the Asian Development Bank agreed not to fund the project without the having proper consent of the people, because earlier I mentioned to you, the people have sent the petition to the particular place. They are ignoring the project. They don't need get the development because it's totally affected the people. So they gave like this kind of the petition. So regarding that, who is the funder? The Asian Development Bank is now they have the problem. They are unable to continue the project because of the people statement. So you can say that some politicians with non-fisheries groups are attempting to continue to the project while small-scale fisheries are requesting to not develop this project. The people have their own perspective on their development and states should respect them. Finally, we are saying here, the government is never considering the people's demand, what they are asking, what they are requesting. They never consider on that self, only they are thinking their benefits and the development, only that is their view. They never consider about the small scale fisheries. So these are the view in these are the things we got from our CLR and another PANAP research. You can see our focus group discussion and the awareness program with the Fisher Union. We got from 3 villages, we make the awareness program, and here's the group discussion among the activities, activists who conduct the research, who meet the people. So you can see the both photos there. So this is one kind of the data we are putting here. You can see this is the more data regarding this development. So this is the what kind of development do you think would like to truly improve people's lives in community? They improve. You can see the people are expecting these are the things they want to improve, but we did not consider on this. Only we are thinking we have to do the more powerful, which thing give the more profit to us. Only these are the things our side we are thinking. So we have to consider on these things also. So this is the one of the attendance sheet I have uploaded here. This is when we conduct the survey. So we got the participant list. This is I add here. You can see that. So finally, I have to say thank for the opportunity, because we have to explain we are the people affecting the lots of issues. So this is the chance for explaining what we are facing in the current situation. So thank you for this opportunity. Thank you.
Fadza, thank you so much for that presentation and case study about the development projects and challenges that small-scale fishers are facing in northern Sri Lanka. We'll definitely have time to follow up on some questions for you at the end, but I'd now like to invite our third speaker to join us. It's my pleasure to introduce Ms. Ravati Praser-Charonsuk. Ravati has an educational background in social development, an educational background in social administration, community development, and human rights. She has worked in the development field since her graduation in 1975 until now. At present, she holds a position as the director of the Sustainable Development Foundation in Thailand. SDF is a rights-based environmental non-government organization that promotes inclusive development, governance, people-centered customary rights, on ecosystem-based sustainable natural resource management. She has working experience demonstrating gender mainstreaming, multi-stakeholder participation, and ecosystem-based fishery and habitat management. Ravati also works hard to promote and advocate for the voluntary guidelines for small-scale fisheries in action and in the field, as well as at the national policy development level. She works to strengthen small-scale fishing networking, as well as capacity building, the SSF movement to play an active role in advocating for small-scale fisheries, women's customary rights, and then small-scale fisheries throughout the country. Ravati is going to be sharing a presentation about gender injustice in small-scale fisheries and coastal aquaculture. The case study focuses on Bandom Bay and Surat Thani province. Ravati, if you're able to unmute, I have your slides ready, and please let me know when you'd like me to proceed.
If we look at aquaculture, that it is the policy that Thailand has encouraged in the past, over the past 20 or 30 years. And it was learned that is both freshwater fishery and coastal fishery. And we have production that has been on the increase, but after 20 or 30 years, then we found that the production has begun to decline, and what follows is the impact on the resources, both freshwater and seawater. It has been affected. That is clearly evident. Before in Thailand, the production is about 1.5 million tons per year, and the value is higher than 55 billion. But now we found that when the production cost is higher, but the income of the fishermen has dropped. At the beginning of aquaculture promotion, it was believed that it would increase productivity in small families. So in the early stages, in the sea or along the shoreline. And we have found thatสไลด์ถัดไปค่ะ ได้ยินดิฉันไหมคะ ขอสไลด์ถัดไปค่ะ What we can see, we will focus on small-scale fisheries along the coastline, and there have been promotion along the shoreline, the coastline. So it is something that we can see that it's adversely proportional with the volume of the farms, which had been on the increase. Sorry, I cannot hear clearly. คุณเดวดียังอยู่ไหมคะตอนนี้เรามีปัญหาเกี่ยวกับเรื่องเสียงค่ะคุณเรวดียังอยู่กับเราหรือเปล่าคะได้ยินดิฉันไหมคะได้ยินเสียงดิฉันไหมคะได้ยินค่ะไปขอให้ปิดวิทยุhere for the presentation today, I would like to share my experience from the study that we have conducted in Surat Thani province. In this province, it is a fertile province because a lot of natural resources, and also most of fishermen have the livelihood that they can use the area for fishery, and they also earn enough income and food. And also in Surat Thani, it is designated as a reserved site. And because of several things that happen, especially with agriculture, we found several problems that during the early stage of the promotion, small-scale fishermen. Next slide. This is Surat Thani, which is the province with a lot of natural resources. And if what I want to do now, I would like to show you that in terms of promotion of small-scale fisheries, we believe that it is going to increase food production and will also increase the income. But right now, what happened was that from the promotion in individual families and in cooperatives, within 20 years, the whole 80% of the whole area belong to people who are not local fishermen. The new owners who are using the area or the space are from the public sector, and they have accumulated the land because the fishermen cannot compete with them. It is because the fishermen do not have enough capital, do not have enough funds, so they make income just for daily living. But for culturing, it's the activities that takes a few months before they can get the product that can be sold. And during this period means that they will have to borrow money from other people in order to live, to carry on with their livelihood. And once the debt had accumulated, they were not able to carry on with their agricultural activities. And then we also found that the local fishermen who used to own the area became those who did not have any benefits, and people who gained something are capitalists, and they also increase the income for those who already have money. Small-scale fishers have to go back to coastal fishery and just catching marine animals there. When the expansion was beyond the scope limited by the government, this led to the conflict between local fishers for those who work there, because in practice, people kept expanding and the local fishers could not do anything and cannot carry on with their fishing activities to the extent that they had to leave from the coastal area, and once they go near the area owned by the private sector, there'll be guards, and sometimes they use weapons to scare people away. So this is the conflict that happened. And what we found is that the natural resources became degraded. Right now, if we look at the overall situation of the fishery, the total area which is more than 200,000 rai. It was used for aquaculture by more than 52%, and the rest for the 300 to 400 fishermen families is about 67%. So the area where small-scale fishers were allowed to do fishing is very small, although they have a lot of members in the community, and there's no guarantee for their income. So, and this has led to the conflict to the extent that some small fishermen boats was asked to stop aquaculturing because they could not survive, and if they are female, then they could not do it near the shore. And these people do not have any skills in other occupations, so they were under pressure. They could not go and look for work outside their area, and they had no income. They had not enough food. That was a lot of pressure on the fishermen families, and that led to the protest. If you look at the slide, you will see that there are hundreds of these boats that are trying to ask the government to intervene and try to find a solution, because they themselves could not live on the resources or degrading. The area available for them are smaller. Next. So the issue here is that within the framework, the development framework that focus on aquaculture, this is the question from a large number of small-scale fishermen. They seem to think that this is an approach that help the people who are richer. At the same time, fishermen do not have other skills. So if the management lacks clear discussion about the area and the directions for the future, and what are the proportion of the areas that are available to fishermen, and what will happen to those without other skills. So with these issues, it goes to a question that whether aquaculture promotion is the answer for fishermen. The answer for what's happening now is no, definitely no. So in order to increase the product in the area where the small-scale fishermen where they were living, we have to try to turn to supporting conservation of marine resources, and for us people who are involved with marine life to know that in the 50 years or 100 years, what would be the direction. It shouldn't let people with money to occupy the space of these people, and we should address the issue of poverty and also maintain biodiversity in the area. So we have to ask people who are policy makers about the direction in building up economic base, whether this is a solution for poverty or for nutrition. And also we have to think about the community rights and also the rights of female fishermen. We have to take this into consideration, and small scale fishermen, especially on the part of the women, they are not part of the formal records. So this is the lesson that we have learned from Thailand, and I hope that this experience will be useful for future work.คุณเรวดียังอยู่ไหมคะยังอยู่หรือเปล่าคะรู้สึกว่าคุณเรวดีน่าจะมีปัญหาในการเชื่อมต่อต้องขออภัยด้วยค่ะตอนนี้เราอาจจะไปตอบคำถามกันก่อนที่คุณเรวดีจะกลับเข้ามาใหม่ดีไหมตอนนี้ที่เรากำลังคอยอยู่ดิฉันก็ตอนนี้ดิฉันเปลี่ยนไปใช้อินเทอร์เน็ตอีกอันหนึ่งแล้วค่ะดิฉันก็จบการนำเสนอแล้วค่ะตอนนี้เราอยู่พื้นที่ห่างไกลมากเลยขอโทษทีค่ะขอบคุณคุณเรวดีไม่เป็นไรค่ะตอนนี้เราก็จะไปเข้าสู่ช่วงตอบคำถามเผื่อมีผู้ฟังคนไหนที่อยากจะถามแล้วก็จะพิมพ์มาคำถามมาตอนนี้อยากจะขอเริ่มคำถามหนึ่งก่อนสำหรับผู้บรรยายทั้ง3ท่านว่าคือทุกท่านนี่ก็ได้นำเสนอกรณีศึกษาที่น่าสนใจมากสำหรับการประมงขนาดเล็กแล้วก็รวมไปถึงในเรื่องของกระบวนการตัดสินใจแล้วก็เรื่องถึงวิธีการที่ชาวประมงเนี่ยสามารถที่จะส่งเสียงออกมาแล้วก็พูดถึงเรื่องของวิธีการที่คนอื่นๆที่อยู่ในบทบาทของเรื่องเนี้ยคือไม่ว่าจะเป็น NGO หรือว่ารัฐบาลเนี่ยจะมาให้การสนับสนุนได้อย่างไร
Ravati, are you still there? Ravati, is your connection still there? Apologies, we may have just lost Ravati. She's connecting from a remote location and her connection may have been poor. Tazza, Munir, are you still there? We may move to a couple of questions then for the two of you while we wait for Ravati to join back on. While we're waiting for Ravati, I was wondering if it seems that
I'm now changing to another internet.
Oh, okay, great, Ravati, thank you.
Yeah. So I have ended my presentation, but I don't know whether it was any problem because we are in a very remote area. Sorry.
Thank you, Ravati. That's okay. We can move to a couple of questions and answers from anyone in the audience while we wait for anyone to type in their question into the Q&A portion of the webinar. I think I'll start with one question for the three panelists and ask how you all presented some amazing and very interesting case studies about development projects and how small-scale fishers might be lacking a voice or a say in the decision-making process. And I was wondering if each of you could speak about ways that fishers could make their voices heard or incorporated into these projects, and also speak to the ways that other people in the small-scale fishing world, other actors such as nonprofits, governments, or academics, can better support small-scale fishers with advocating their opinions about development projects. Munir, would you like to start?
Yeah, okay, thank you. The very first thing we need especially in the context of Bangladesh, we need very strong fisheries organizations, especially the organizations of the small-scale fisherfolk people. In my country, in Bangladesh, unfortunately, true democratic and truly representative by the small-scale fisherfolk people organization are not there. There are some organizations in the name of fishermen, but these organizations are mainly managed by the influentials, because demand should come from the community people. The very first demand of the small-scale fisherfolk people, the very first shout of the problems, of the struggles of the fisherfolk people should become very firstly from the fisherfolk people themselves. That is why they need strong fisherfolk organizations. And now, to promote such fisherfolk organizations, NGOs, friends of fisherfolk people, academicians, civil society organizations can support them to be a self-reliant fisherfolk people or fisherfolk organizations. This is very first thing we need this. And second one, for advocacy, for their self-reliance, the very first problem of our small-scale fisherfolk people, we believe that access to finance and access to market. To make them self-reliant, I think we need to promote fishers organizations, self-help group, if they have financial capacities, and then they can accommodate the other capacities from the CSOs, from the academicians, and then they will be able to conduct that advocacy from themselves. So the very first two recommendations in this regard will be to promote strong fishers folk organizations and to promote ways to ensure the access to finance for the fisher folk people. Thank you.
Thank you, Munir. Tazza, would you like to answer the question or say anything about ways that those wishing to support small-scale fishers can better support your movement or the issues that people in your communities and that you surveyed? How can we better support what you're advocating for.
Yes, in our community, regarding these, when we take like these issues in our community, we go to the certain places and we talk with people and we give the awareness training. No, it's mean how can they react for this kind of issues and how can they reach the particular person for against this development. Those are the things we are doing day by day for our members. Members mean around the particular places, small scale fisheries. Even we are ensure the right, we are trying to, and we are giving the trainings for the women group, how they work, how they can ensure their rights, how they can fight for their rights. So those are the capacity building trainings also we are providing to our small scale fisheries.
Thank you, Thadza. Ravati, is there anything you'd like to say on that question?
I would like to say that the major problem is right now the data on small scale fisher are not exist at all. The people just say, okay, there are many of small scale fisher, but there have been no systematic system to identify how many of them, and they are not in the formal statistics. Therefore, when the policymaker try to make a policy, they only consider those who are in the formal data system, which is the commercial fishers. And although we have some record or information on number of small scale fisher, but then there are only some that have been registered, but many of them, especially women, are not registered. That's why it becomes problematic that they are invisible. And when they are invisible, they are not recognized as a very important group that play a very great role of producing food, and then they also secure local economy. The tendency of the policy is more of considering economic-driven development, and they are careless of the process, ensuring participation of small-scale fisher in planning how the area of that ecosystem should be used, and then considering big number of small-scale fisher and also fisher women, what should be really the plan, what should be really the type of activities that we should ensure everybody have access to use, and then ensure that the use will not cause erosion or depletion of national resources, and then will ensure welfare and will ensure well-being of everyone. And the marginalized group, majority of them are small-scale fisher, need to be secure. So I think this is what I think the way that we should go in addressing the belief of economic-driven, getting higher income, getting higher production without recognizing small-scale fisher. I think this becomes really a false solution in addressing the present that majority of people in Thailand, 80% of the people are small-scale fisher, have been facing at present. Thank you.
Thank you, Ravati. We have one question in the chat. I know that Herman was able to answer a little bit of an answer, but Thadza, I wanted to see if you wanted to ask anything about, say anything to this comment. Very informative presentation. For the Sri Lankan example, what has been done to address the community concerns with lack of access resulting from point pager development? Were there any alternatives provided? Thadza, would you like to add anything to that answer?
Kat, you want me to add what?
Herman, please go ahead as well. If you'd like to introduce yourself and turn your video on, you're also welcome to answer that question.
My connection is not so good, but let me try. So thank you very much, Alec, for that question. So there is some efforts actually to get the understanding about the situation of these type of projects. You know, the problem is this type of projects have been conducted everywhere in the country, not only in one particular place. This is one particular place only. But most of the cases, the people are not consulted and not heard about the people's voices. So that is one of the biggest problem that some of the politicians, some of the media, some of the government officials, the bureaucrats, they are projecting all these, their benefits to the people and their long-term development activities. But when people say something about what they want, governments are not ready to listen. So as Tatsa also correctly said, the building of capacities should be one of the major things, because people don't know about the current agreements or conventions or basic, human rights based approaches of SSF guidelines and so on development activities. So our role, and we need the help, how to help the people, how to help the communities to learn about those and to advocate their own human rights based on those government agreed uh, conventions or any kind of agreement or whatever in the global level. So this is something that we need to push from our side, and it's a huge education campaign. So we need some sort of mediation to educate these people and empower them for their rights. So that is the major thing, because they should understand what's going on. They should understand how to analyze these things, and they should understand who are the root causes, what are the root causes, who are the players behind. So all these are very important matters to address directly. So that is something we need to do in this process. Thank you, Kat.
Thank you, Herman. I think the last question that I'll ask of all three panelists, so Munir, Herman, if you'd like to join on this one, and Rabadi and Thadsa as well. I know that Coast Foundation, NAFSO, and SDF have worked together in the past and work on projects together currently. I was wondering if you all could speak to some of the benefits or advantages of working regionally with other organizations on topics such as the blue economy and small-scale fisheries.
Okay, should I come in?
Please, Munir, go ahead.
Thank you very much. Yes, you are very much right. We have some very good example and very good experiences of working with different organizations in the region. If you talk about SDF, yes, we are implementing a projects for the female members of the fisher folk people in coastal areas. We are getting very good results, and we started with a study, and the study findings were really sad, because the status of the women in the fisher folk families were very much unimaginable. In terms of their health, in terms of their participation in the decision-making process, in terms of ownership in the family assets, every terms, the female members were left behind. Now we are trying to promote gender empowerment in the fisher folk families in coastal areas. This is directly benefiting our fisher folk people, and working with other organizations. For example, we are part of WFFP. We are part of IPC, and also we are working in South Asia region with NAFSO and other organizations. These activities, projects, and programs, and our involvement are enhancing our capacities. They are helping us to come up with the intervention. We are getting some good examples to handle the problems of the small-scale fisher folk people. So in many ways, in various ways, the different collaborations and coalitions among the fisher folk people or organizations in the regional level also helping us. And especially, we are now a part of monitoring and supervision of the implementation of the BGSSF, and we are getting support from different organizations, and we are now trying to get the track where our government are there, where our fisher folk people are there in terms of the BGSSF. So all these activities are helping us a lot in different ways. Thank you.
Thank you, Munir. Ravati, would you like to say anything about working with other organizations in the region?
Can I come in?
Please.
In my opinion, we need to do many different levels. At field level, to ensure that people know what is going on, and then we should really work with them for them to realize about their human rights, and they should not just accept whatever the effect and impact from the present economic-driven paradigm of development. So they need to be alert, and they have to believe that what can overcome this together cannot be only one person, three person, but within the country. And that is something that needs to be done as the role.
Sorry, Ravati, we're having a hard time hearing you.
Trend of development does not only come from within the country, but it also comes from the international trend of different concept of development. Therefore, it is necessary for NGO and small-scale fisheries network in every country, different continent.
Sorry, Ravati, we're having a hard time hearing you.
Advocate for that right, and then call for changing or stop certain policy that is promoting, especially under the name of blue economy. The blue economy is without people. People become for profit. So I think that is something that we make an opportunity for work nationally to make at the regional level, and also participate in many of the forums conducted at international level for policy development that indirect affect to their lives, affect to their resources that they can afford for their living. And importantly, the women who are somehow have
Ravati, can you speak up, please?
And then have less opportunity to know what is going on, and then many of them have not yet realized of that, right? So they need to be awakened and strengthen the force. So this is something that we need to do in level, national level, regional and national level. Open space farming, we have people express what is going on and also share opinion what needs to be done. And a concrete evidence, that is something that we need to document and make it to different advocacy for policy maker to really pay attention to the reality what is happening. And this is something that cannot be done at the national level alone.
Ravati, I'm sorry, we're having a hard time hearing you. Herman or Thadsa, would you like to say anything about working with other organizations in the region?
I love to say the thing. The thing is, we are working the Blue Economy Project, and the People's Tribunal gave very strong ways to the communities affected by the blue economy. There we are launching a campaign on land, food and climate justice campaign in collaboration with Asia Peace and Coalition, which will be aiming at COP 28 in Dubai. Now the campaign is ongoing well there. Also, we are working as regional advisory group of the Asia Pacific on implementation of small-scale fisheries guidelines. The NAFSO Sri Lanka played the role of coordinating secretariat of the regional advisory group. So these are some examples and successful mediation of ensuring human rights of small scale fisheries. After the RAG meeting held in Sri Lanka, the women groups agreed to form women causes of WGFFB to work as a regional bodies of women. Then this will focus attention to form 1,000 women groups also. These also one of the best experience we can share here to you.
Thank you so much. And I think we will wrap up our webinar, and I would like to give a big thanks to all of our speakers and to Coast Foundation, NAFSO, and SDF for joining us. The recording of this event will be posted soon on the SSF Hub account. Based on today's discussion, the SSF Hub will be publishing a policy action toolkit in supporting blue economy work and the role of small-scale fisheries and coastal development. We invite everyone to continue this discussion on small-scale fisheries, blue economy, and ocean development on the Small Scale Fishery Hub Facebook group. It's called the Global Network for Small-Scale Fisheries. Thank you again for all of your attendance and contributions over this past year to the SSF Hub's Fisher Voices campaign in support of IYAFA. The Hub will continue to host events in support of small-scale fisheries and the implementation of the SSF guidelines. Please feel free to contact us if you're interested in hosting an event similar to this through the SSF Hub. Thank you, everyone, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you to all our speakers.
Thank you. Thank you.